So training is huge. I think every organization, but car dealerships especially, because I think we lag a little bit in the industry, is that
Uh-huh.
you have to find that balance of subject matter experts versus new individuals coming in.
Yes.
You know, if you have all subject matter experts who have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, I think we lose sight sometimes of the newer technology available or meeting the expectations of customers' needs, like little things. I want a text message when my car is done versus a phone call. How many people pick up
Yeah.
their cell phone every time now? So I think there's that balance. And I think we really need to take the time to train.
Mhm.
Everyone says we do it, but how many people do it great?
Yeah,
Um,
that is true.
and and training isn't necessarily formal, and it's not necessarily just the job of the employer, right? There has to be a commitment on that new employee's part or that employee learning the new role. It has to be hands-on. You have to make mistakes to learn
Mhm.
more sometimes, right? But it should never be at the cost of a customer.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think more emphasis could be placed in training. To be honest, I think full-time people could spend time on training. It's really that important. So
Yes,
I think once
yes.
you find the right person for the right position at the right time, then the next step is how do we make that person be their best self and
Yeah.
deliver their best work. And then on top of that, how do you keep them engaged, right? How
Yes.
do you keep them interested? And often when we talk about engagement and growth, people think, oh, promotion, oh, money.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that always. It could be a special ad hoc project. It could
Mhm.
be participating in a continuous improvement group.
Mhm.
It could
Mhm.
be becoming a mentor or a subject matter expert to others. So
Yes.
I think we need to get away from this perception of growth is just promotion,
Yeah.
because as you go up in organization, there's fewer positions, right?
Yes.
So maybe
Yes.
30
That is
roles,
so
five
true.
managers. Yeah. So we need to get away from that, but still keep people engaged, as we know that if individuals aren't interested in the work they do or believe in the product and they're not seeing growth opportunities, then we know that they change approximately every 2 years,
Yeah.
sometimes less. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's self-development is always important
Yes.
because there was a time when a lot of dealerships they will implement something called cross-functional training. Like,
Okay.
yeah, when if you're a parts person and you're interested in becoming a service advisor, then you'll go across and then you'll shadow someone for a particular amount of time, and then you'll come back, and then it helps growth, it helps understanding, and it helps clarity in terms of how various departments work and how they intertwine, right? But you have to keep employees engaged as you mentioned earlier, and that is also something that a lot of dealerships can employ on a regular basis as well.
Yeah. And to be honest, in my own opinion, you talk about the cross departmental training. I think
Yes.
that should be like the first or second week of a new person's role.
Hmm.
Why wait 2 years to learn what the person beside you does?
Yeah.
I just think if you could visit every department and find out what different people do within the organization from the beginning, you would have a greater understanding of how you contribute to the overall vision.
Yes, yes, definitely, because what you have is a lot of, if it's a very competitive environment, then you have, departments within a whole competing against each other, and then you have
Yeah.
crosstalk and all these things without looking at the bigger picture, which is one company, right? So
And
we
teamwork.
tend to lose focus. We tend to lose focus on that.
Yeah.
But what about training at the top? Is the top also important?
I think so. One, not only training, I think a lot of good CEOs and leaders do spend time on self development in different ways.
Right?
But I also think succession planning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is the next leader?
Ah,
What are we doing to
yes,
bring them up? So not
yes,
just the
yes.
very top, but the two levels beneath them. What are we doing with those leaders
Mm-hmm.
to bring them to the next level? And again, it doesn't necessarily mean everyone's going to be a CEO, but
Yeah.
how are they better people leaders?
Mm-hmm.
Someone could have great business acumen and
Yes.
horrible people skills.
Yes, yes. Yeah, interpersonal skills, yeah.
Yeah. So what are we doing with those individuals? I think is just as important. And sometimes people deserve these top positions, which is great. But if they don't have, as I said, the people skills, the coaching skills, and the business
Hmm.
sense, then it's not fair to those individuals because they can't perform their best work.
Yes.
You need to take the time to train them and not just throw them in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
That
then
is
it's not
that's
fair to business either. Yeah.
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 Interesting. Very interesting. As you can from my accent, I'm from the Caribbean,
Mm.
but you have a lot of individuals, they emigrate to countries like Canada, the United States,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you're familiar with the aspects of how do someone from a different area, region, country coming into Canada, for
Mhm.
argument's sake, and they want to come into HR. What will be your guidance for that person? Or do you understand the steps for them to actually go through the various functions and attributes and competencies in order to be a HR practitioner like yourself?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, HR is a professional designation. So we have a professional organization that regulates us, and it's like OMVIC. It's we have
Okay.
a body of ethics. We have an ethics code, a regulatory body,
Hmm.
disciplinary hearings for those who have complaints. So it's just as professional as many other designations. So
Right.
if someone was coming in and interested, I would say first of all look up the HR Practitioners Association of Ontario. That's the
Okay.
first step. And then many people don't know that several or most HR professionals have this designation. It
Okay.
involves some schooling, it involves some
Hmm.
work experience, it involves some exams. But most of all, take the time to learn what's needed and get in contact or connect on LinkedIn with other HR professionals. That would
Hmm.
be the best way. Yeah,
Yeah.
the best HR professionals have a passion for people, right?
Okay.
And business,
Okay.
because I think
And
they have
business.
aligned in that. Yeah.
Yes.
You can have great people, but if you're not making money as a business, it's not a great organization. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So get connected with those people and they can definitely help you along the way.
Okay. Yeah. It does. Networking is indeed important,
Mhm.
but as you also mentioned earlier, the higher up you go, the less positions. So it is
Yeah.
best to it is best to understand the various roles. So you can also have what they call it now, a lateral, a
Yeah.
horizontal way of moving through the company itself.
Yeah. What's
But
nice about oh sorry, Chris. What's nice about HR is that we are so diverse.
yeah.
So as I mentioned before, we are capable and talented and have competencies in legislation such as health and safety, employment standards, human
Hmm.
rights.
Hmm.
We take care of things such as performance,
Yeah.
growing people as we've talked about throughout this conversation, but also unfortunately those sometimes concerns that are brought
Yeah.
forward.
Yes.
Workforce planning. What's the future? How many people do we need? That's
Hmm.
something that, if I was to suggest to companies, start now. You can't
Hmm.
find the right people in 24 hours to
Yeah.
build your strategy. Like you need
Hmm.
to start now and build the right people in the right places.
Yeah.
So we're recruiting is a big one, right? So
Hmm.
you can work as a generalist in HR, but you can also have one of these specialties. Compensation is another big one. So
Yeah.
there's many things or areas that people can be interested in
Yeah.
to work in HR.
Yeah, you're right. I remember working for a dealership, and every week was a different policy: sexual
Uh,
harassment policy, safety policy, work punctuality policy, the departmental health, and it just keep the list just keep. Every week there was a new policy coming out, and you had to adhere to it. But it was it was it was done that way because what we were doing was developing a proper HR department at the time. What we had was personnel, someone who just dealt with files and hiring and health
mhm.
system and benefits and everything else. But when the HR department came together now, then we understood so many variables were involved, right?
I
And
bet
then
you.
yes, so sorry, so many variables were involved and legislations, and then they had to be rolled out to the staff, and then we had to train the staff to understand exactly what these policies were. It was a lot of work, but
But I bet
after a
6 months
while,
down the road, it wasn't a policy every week. There
ex-
was bigger and funner, but better initiatives that were
yes,
happening, right? That's
yeah.
just the beginning of building an HR department.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
But it actually gave us an understanding and an appreciation exactly of how an HR department should be run, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, without those experiences, I wouldn't understand exactly some of the things they're talking about, but I
Mhm.
was very much familiar with them.
Yeah.
So
But it's also nice to see, yes, some people would say that's a pain at the time, at the moment, right?
yeah,
But down the road, then you think about everyone has the same expectations. and
Hmm.
everyone is known the same policies. So there's no favoritism,
Yeah.
then people are treated fairly and equal. So that just
Yes.
goes to show
Definitely.
how special
Definitely.
organization you are working for. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how it should be. Everybody should be treated equally, fairly, right across the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Jen, I want to thank you. I know you're busy. I grabbed you at the opportune time, and it was actually refreshing and enlightening speaking with you. And I want to bring you back one day again when I come up with some more in-depth understanding and more information. I want to ask you about HR practices, right? Not necessarily about the dealership, but if I get more questions from others, I'll be sure to present them to you if I
No
can.
problem. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, thank you. It has been a pleasure and an honor to have you here, and I thank you very much for coming on.
No, thank you, Chris. Have a great evening.
Okay, same to you. Bye.